a KQED television production.
And everybody say, Oppa!
Check Please Bay Area is made possible by the members of KQED and by
Safe Catch Elite Wild Tuna. Great for athletes, kids, and pregnancy. Safe Catch tests each and every fish for mercury. Available at nearby stores. Walmart Global E-Commerce, with small, agile work teams, is focused on big data, engineering, and e-commerce innovations. Careers available at walmartlabs.com. Sutter Health CPMC, investing in community care for more than 150 years, including 2 new smart hospitals. Your city, your hospital. CPMC2020.org.
Natural Mattress Systems from European Sleepworks, working to improve comfort and wellness for over 40 years. European Sleepworks in Berkeley, online at sleepworks.com. Oakland International Airport, now with flights all over the world. iFlyOAK.com. IRG has over 250 types of natural stone choices in stock today. IRG in Brisbane and Dublin, or at marblecompany.com.
Hi, I'm Leslie Sbrocco. Welcome to Check Please Bay Area, the show where regular Bay Area residents review and talk about their favorite restaurants. Now we have 3 guests, and each one recommends one of their favorite spots, and the other 2 go check them out to see what they think. This week, anesthesiologist Randy Fung feels no pain. He considers Silicon Valley home to his culinary adventures, offering forays into a multitude of ethnic cuisines, including the chance to experience Japanese comfort food. High school English teacher Sevana Panosian is a San Francisco native. Her whole family, including 2 foodie children, research and write about their discoveries at home and abroad. But first, journalist and radio show host Robin Carpenter originates from Rag Swamp, Alabama. And although she now calls West Marin home, she hasn't given up craving the flavors of her childhood. She finds familiar Gulf Coast Creole-inspired plates at a little spot in Fairfax called the Hummingbird.
The best thing about the Hummingbird is the community. This place feels like home for a lot of people. They come here, they have breakfast. They treat me like I'm their mother. My name is Michelle Elmore. My husband and I, Jose Poole, have owned the Hummingbird for 5 years now. In New Orleans, community is very important, and we lost that after Katrina. Within days of opening this place, I had a huge community built around the restaurant. My husband is on the grill. He cooks the fast stuff. He's incredible. My son works here on the weekends, and then I work in the front unless I'm cooking the slow stuff in the back. The gumbo and the crawfish, etouffee, shrimp and grits. And making those things really remind me of home. Saturdays and Sundays are really fun, loud, lots of families. I've gotten to know almost the whole town of Fairfax. I know everybody and what they like to eat.
Okay, here we go.
One of my favorite parts of the Hummingbird is watching the kids grow up. I knew I was successful when I went to back to school night with my son, and instead of knowing everyone's name, I knew what everyone ate.
Sit.
How did you discover the Hummingbird?
We were just walking by one day, and I saw that they said, oh, New Orleans style Creole cuisine, and I went, oh yeah, sure.
Right.
I'd lived through the horrors of what they called New Orleans style cooking in the 80s here in the Bay Area. And I said, well, let's just go in, and I just ordered plain white grits, eggs, and crispy bacon, because if you can do that right, then you can probably do everything else right. And I was very skeptical, and it was great. And so immediately, my husband and I started ordering. We got beignets, we got etouffee, we got gumbo. We just started ordering cups of everything to try it, and I was over the moon that it tasted exactly the way we make things back home. I asked who owns this place, and it's Michelle Elmore, who came to the Bay Area after the levees broke after Katrina. And she is a fine arts photographer. She moved to Fairfax because they had good schools and a good area. She wanted to open a gallery, and she said, well, nobody's making real New Orleans style food, and I may as well serve food in my gallery.
All right, Randy, are you familiar with New Orleans cuisine and Creole cuisine?
You know, New Orleans is actually one of those destinations on my bucket list. I've never been there. So the first thing is when I checked out the menu, that definitely stood out for me. And I went there. I'm not familiar with Fairfax, but again, very nice, cozy diner feel. And immediately you can feel that there's a very friendly ambience there. The servers, the owners, they were greeting and even hugging some of the patrons. I felt a little out of place because, you know, I didn't know anyone, but at the same time, we were served extremely well. So the first thing I ordered was chicken and waffles. And that's a great dish. I've had it at other restaurants. I've never had New Orleans style. And then we also ordered the crawfish etouffee, which was my first time trying that as well. Plentiful crawfish, very different flavors. And then finally, I had to try the gumbo. They actually didn't have it on the menu to order just a cup, but I knew I was going to have to try it, so I asked them, and they happily obliged. So they gave me a cup, and I loved that as well.
You know, at first we were put off from the distance because we live in the city, and I'm one of those native San Franciscans who feels like I need to pack if I need to go across the bridge. And so we drove over there, and we were like, this is kind of far. Well worth the drive. First of all, my daughter also had the chicken and waffles, and I tried talking her out of it, actually. And she's like, no, Mom, I'm going to have the chicken and waffles. And we were coveting her plate. The waffle, savory, it's like stuffing. It had like thyme and sage and marjoram, delicious. And then the chicken is served with a maple syrup that is infused with cayenne pepper, which was amazing. The melding of the flavors was incredible. But my BLT, which was a fried green tomato BLT, was hands down the best BLT I've had west of the Mississippi. Wow. I mean, really, I mean, I was just going like this to my plate from the crumbs. The tomato was juicy, and the crispiness of the breading.
Like a breading on
it. The bacon was nice and crispy, and then the bread, I don't know if it was a hippie bakery in Marin that they got the bread at, or if they bake it on the premises. The bread was just nutty and delicious, and I mean, we were very, very pleased with
Did they get it right here, Robin?
Yeah, I'm so thrilled because, to be frank, I was nervous because Michelle is unabashedly authentic, so it's spicy. She does not do California-style spice. She does New Orleans-style spiciness. I mean, one of my favorite dishes is the etouffee. People know gumbo pretty well.
Sure.
And etouffee is, first of all, we have what we call the Holy Trinity, which for us is bell pepper, onions, and celery. So the Holy Trinity is sort of smothered, and etouffee means to smother. So it's smothered in a really thick roux that's a little bit gravyish, and you really taste the celery and the bell peppers, and it's so simple, but yet it just heightens it when it hits that gravy roux. And then the crawfish, she gets those flown in from Louisiana, and they're sweet, and it's that yummy, like, comfort food that I grew up on. So that's one of my favorite dishes. And of course, the beignets.
The beignets were amazing. We ordered them. You know, that was definitely one of the things I wanted to try from New Orleans. We were just going to take them to go because we had ordered too much food. We tried it, and it came out piping hot, covered with powdered sugar. We finished them all.
And did you have it with the chicory coffee, that combination of beignet and chicory?
Did not have coffee, but
I loved the chicory coffee with the beignets, and it was just a great experience. I've never been to New Orleans, so for me, the experience was nice and new. My husband has been to New Orleans, and so he had the gumbo actually, and loved it. He likes spicy food. So, and what's funny is the spicy hot sauce that they have. My daughters were laughing because it's called Slap Your Mama, and they're like, Mom, why would it be called that? That's kind of, and I'm like, it's, you know, when in Rome, do as the Romans. I'm like, just, you know, it's cool.
Try it.
So
they didn't slap you though, did
No,
they?
no, absolutely not. But he loved his gumbo.
And Michelle makes her own hot sauce.
She makes her own hot sauce, and her husband Jose is actually from the Yucatan area, which is another area I love the cuisine of, which very much resonates with Southern Gulf Coast cooking. Lots of roasted peppers, so they do roasted habanero and a little bit of olive oil. You can actually buy Michelle's special sauce there.
the one perhaps criticism I had is that it was also a very cold day that we went there. it's pretty cold inside the restaurant.
Yeah.
And some of my dishes, when they came out, were a little bit more room temperature. That was the chicken and waffles and also the crawfish etouffee. But the beignets, like I said, came out piping hot, so that's one of the reasons why that really stuck out for me.
And it's a small place.
It is a small
It is a
place.
small
It is a
place.
small
Tiny.
place.
Right. And one thing we should note, it's cash only, so you can run down the
That's
street
right.
if
That's
there's
right.
a bank
Yes.
if you forget your money. Now this is really just breakfast and lunch. So what is something that people should look for at breakfast?
My younger daughter ordered the chocolate chip silver dollar pancakes. Absolutely delicious pancakes.
Perfect size for a child. Our children ordered it as well. The chocolate chips were melting. It was served hot. The butter on top was also melting.
Amazing.
They loved it and they
Yeah.
devoured it.
They devoured it.
All right, this is your spot. Robin, wrap it up for us.
I would say if you're craving a taste of genuine New Orleans cooking, the Hummingbird's a jewel. And from grits to gumbo to heavenly beignets, it's Fat Tuesday Mardi Gras every day at the Hummingbird.
All right, Sevana.
If you want to have the best BLT west of the Mississippi and have a side order of fried chicken and waffles, visit the Hummingbird.
All right, and Randy.
You know, the Hummingbird is the quintessential neighborhood spot with friendly smiles and service and classic New Orleans-inspired fare, especially those beignets.
All right, if you would like to try the Hummingbird, it's located on Broadway Boulevard at Claus in Fairfax. The telephone number is 415-457-9866. It's open for breakfast, brunch, and lunch Thursday through Tuesday. Reservations are not accepted, and it is cash only. And the average breakfast tab per person without drinks is around $20. You have to walk down the ramp to enter Randy's Japanese Eatery. The descent offers a view of the kitchen and the dining room with guests tucking into their steaming bowls of deliciousness and charcoal-cooked delicacies. On Central Plaza in Los Altos, it's called Sumika.
The Japanese food is not about seasoning compared to other type of food. We try to bring out the best of the ingredients. So the ingredient itself has the taste. I'm Kuniko Ozawa, and this is Sumika. We are a Japanese restaurant, but we are not typical Japanese restaurant who carries sushi, teriyaki, and tempura. The first 3 years we really suffered. Nobody ate yakitori before. Everybody asked for sushi. But I really wanted to do this restaurant from my passion and love of the food, so we stick with the concept. More everyday, casual, but really good quality food. Yakitori is a chicken skewers cooked over grill. Our chicken is a local organic, free-range chicken. We use a special charcoal imported from Japan. It lasts hours compared to the regular charcoal. Chicken karaage and oyakodon, those are the two very popular dishes. We hire chefs from Japan, serious chefs, so our food is more delicate, very sophisticated.
Do you go there for lunch? This is a lunch spot for
It's
you?
a favorite lunch spot of mine. I go there all the time. You know, they specialize in organic chicken dishes, and that's pretty rare in the States to have a restaurant that just specializes in organic chicken, but common in Asia. So in the evening, they serve skewers. But during lunchtime, they focus on rice bowls. Now, for the average person, I think rice doesn't sound that interesting, but for Asians, rice is a staple. So when I hear about a restaurant that cooks a mean rice dish, my ears perk up. And their signature dish is their oyakodon, which translates into mother and child, and refers to the fact that it has both chicken and egg in the dish. Always reminds me of that, you know, age-old question, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
They
But
both come in
That's
that
right,
same
exactly. They
bowl
both
at the
come, and once I take a bite of the food, I forget about the question entirely.
Right.
That oyakodon is perfectly cooked. They serve the egg very runny, which again is rare in the States. The chicken is always tender, and you just mix it all together, and the teriyaki sauce permeates every bit of the food.
I have to say that 10 bites into my oyakodon, I told my husband, I want to marry this. I mean, it was
I don't think of Yoko Don as a name.
I
But,
was
that's
thinking
okay.
I'm Mrs. Dawn now. I loved it. It had the beautiful soft runny egg on top, and then the chicken thigh that was in it. You could taste the smokiness that they used their special charcoal there.
Imported from Japan.
Imported from Japan.
Their chicken karagi, which essentially is a deep fried chicken, is excellent as well. It's always served freshly fried, and so it comes to your table piping hot, never greasy, juicy, tender, and perfectly seasoned.
I had the chicken katsu, which I have to say came with some really delicious plum sauce and a tartar sauce type of sauce next to it, but the chicken itself, it was good, but it kind of was like an oversized chicken nugget.
It appeared to be pounded out thigh. It was dark meat, which was the cutlet for the fried chicken, and I thought it was really good. I didn't want anything on the chicken. I thought it was so good, but I ended up eating the egg salad sauce because it was sort of like, oh, my mama would love it. It's like egg salad smoothie. It was really good.
It really was good.
And we had the tofu that was fried in a fish broth with dried shrimp shavings and like a little of their pickled radish on top. And it was so delicate. The inside was silky. I thought that was really lovely. And then they kept trying to give us the check because we kept ordering more stuff. They're like, are you ready? And I was like, oh, no. We saw these sake bottles. And I said,
and they do have a pretty incredible sake list.
and we said, can we see the sake menu? And they go, well, sure.
You know, the nice thing about the meal is it's very all-inclusive. It includes miso soup, a red miso soup that has a very deep flavor, always served piping hot. It includes a salad with a very tart ponzu sauce on top that's just great. And then they have a couple of Japanese pickles that are sort of like a palate cleanser. You kind of eat them between your main meal.
And what about dinner? Because it's sort of that yakitori bar feel.
Exactly. So dinner is a completely, entirely different feel. The nice thing is that it is those skewers. They serve almost every single part of the chicken. And then, of course, I can have sake at that time.
And then you can drink a little sake.
My daughter, she went with the udon soup, which was a vegetable tempura. And I have to be honest, it was good, but it was a little on the bland side. The tempura was more batter, less vegetable. But in and of itself, the chicken katsu flavor was great. The waitstaff was very friendly.
Very accommodating. So service is good.
Absolutely.
Great service, very deferential.
Yes.
All right, now it's dessert time.
We ordered the sesame seed panna cotta. I love panna cotta. And it came in the beautiful little wooden tea box. And it was gorgeous, and it had a little dollop of whipped cream, red bean paste, and some tiny baby mint leaves. We just loved that. It was one of the best desserts that I've had in a long time.
Well, this is your spot, so wrap it up for us, Randy.
Well, Sumika is my favorite lunch spot. It's a hidden gem, an oasis of Japanese comfort food that hits the spot for me every time.
All right, and Sevana?
If you're in Los Altos and want to have some comfort food for lunch, definitely visit Sumika.
Okay, and
I would
Rowan?
say Sumika is a great traditional Japanese pub that meets you with wonderful, comforting flavors, and that it's a real jewel. And I want to go back for dinner.
If you would like to try Sumika, it's located on Central Plaza at 2nd Street in Los Altos. The telephone number is 650-917-1822. It's open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Reservations are recommended, and the average lunch tab per person without drinks is around $20. We've all heard of Sonoma County. I actually call it home. But when it comes to wine, there's a part of Sonoma garnering great attention: the Sonoma Coast. This recognized wine-growing area runs along the coastline from San Pablo Bay to Mendocino. Its hallmark is cool, downright cold temperatures. Known for producing racy, vibrant, elegant, and age-worthy Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, it's a place with personality. Cheers. It's okay to dream of antiquities, golden sun-soaked beaches, and the flavors of Greece at Sevana's Pick. The warm, cozy setting makes for an inviting escape from the fog. On West Portal in San Francisco, it's called Orexi Restaurant.
I was born and raised in Greece, came here a very long time ago. I'm a San Franciscan, and West Portal is my neighborhood.
We're definitely an authentic Greek restaurant. Family recipes, just like Yaya. Yaya is grandma's.
My name is John Lufas, and I'm the owner of Orexi.
And I'm Effie Lufas, owner of Orexi.
We're a family, making our own olive oil, making our own honey, making our own wine, our own vegetables. We do it all, and that's the Greek culture.
The name Orexi means appetite. So when a guest comes to your home or visits your restaurant and you serve them this delicious, authentic Greek meal, you say Kali Orexi, bon appetit, enjoy your meal.
This particular art on the wall is dedicated to my father, who's an older man, and he still goes out there and takes care of his bees and makes a little bit of honey, and that's his hobby. We love Westboro because we live in the area for quite a long time. I actually went to high school right up the street. We're still in the city, but we feel like we live in a village. Yamas.
Yamas.
All right, Sevana, Orexi means appetite in Greek.
I'm Armenian, and Armenian and Greek are two very similar cultures. My great-grandfather was a restaurateur in a town that had a large Greek population, Pontic Greek population, and after the Armenian genocide, the only thing they were able to take with them were the recipes and the love of getting together with a family around the table and breaking bread. So Orexi does that for me and for my family. We feel that we're at like an auntie's house in a Greek taverna, welcomed by, olive trees when we come in there. And so we start with the saganaki, which is a fried cheese with olive oil and drizzled with lemon juice and savory herbs. And, we just take our bread and dip it in the oil. And then to kind of freshen that, because it is a little heavy, we have the octopus, which is served on a bed of arugula, and the pepperiness of the arugula kind of balances the saltiness of the saganaki.
And then what did you start with?
So I love the appetizers. That's one of the great things about the restaurant. There's a lot of appetizers to choose from. My favorite appetizer by far, though, was the lamb riblets. Very small with a piece of bone, but the perfect ratio of fat to meat, and they have the seasoning just perfect. So it basically just falls off the bone, and we were licking the bones afterwards. And we also ordered the house-made platter, and those are freshly made, served with nice warm pita bread, and we were devouring it. So a great start to the meal.
Robin.
So I grew up where most of the restaurants where I grew up, the nice ones, were owned by Greek families. So I grew up on Greek flavors. I loved the zucchini fritters that you do with a little zucchini and feta that comes with tzatziki sauce. Very classic Greek appetizers. For us, the lamb riblets didn't have a lot of flavor. They were well cooked. And that was one of the things I found about the restaurant. Several of the dishes didn't have those bold but simple Greek flavors of oregano, olive oil, lemon.
We had the same experience actually, but for us it didn't hit until the entrees.
That's where
so
we had our problem.
ordered the lamb chops, which is another classic Greek dish, perfectly cooked. We asked for medium rare, it was perfectly medium rare, but under seasoned. And then a couple of the other dishes, the moussaka, which is another casserole. It was good, but the flavors again were not quite as bold as I've had other Greek restaurants.
What should they have ordered anything differently, or was that?
It's funny. There's two places my kids love to eat lamb chops: Grandpa's house and Orexi. And I don't know, maybe it's the lemon on top. They love the lamb chops because it's very tender, and maybe you could up the salt, but lamb chops are difficult to cook, actually, and so they're tender off the bone. One thing my husband ordered that was absolutely delicious is the lamb that's cooked on the orso.
The lamb shank.
Which is a
shank.
shank. And it just melts off the bone, and the juices from the lamb kind of meld into the orso that it's served on. And I do often order the moussaka, and I find that the bechamel is done perfectly, and I like the little Grecian pot that they serve it in. I always find it to be a perfect savoriness with the creaminess of the bechamel.
I think one of the issues is that there aren't that many Greek restaurants in the Bay Area, but the several that they are very highly acclaimed. So they set a very high standard, so it was cooked well, but just a little bit under seasoned.
This is a family-owned spot, right?
And we had the service that you just felt like you were in someone's home. There was so much love there. We had an amazing waitress. Her name was Aphrodite. And she told us these wonderful stories about her family. And you felt embraced in a family. And it's the interior is so pretty.
Yeah, and it's got a terrific, not huge, but terrific list of Greek wines.
Right.
And they have a wine by the glass from a producer named Yea, one of my favorites, that's very hard to find. So have some Greek wine, that'll give you some flavor right there.
We did have some, and we loved it.
The ambience is great. It feels very warm and inviting.
And I just love those honeycomb sculptures, and so it's a very special spot.
And do you have any room for dessert?
Oh my God. It is this semolina custard that's wrapped in this crispy, buttery phyllo. And then they have this scented sauce that's like drizzled over it. And it was perfectly warm in the center. It makes you almost cry.
I gotta tell you, I'm ready to have an affair with it.
Oh, and just smelling it, it was.
That dessert is also served with a side of vanilla ice cream that's just delicious. They crumble pistachios over on top of it.
Right. Oh,
and so you combine that with the ice cream, with the warm phyllo dough. It's a match made in heaven.
And if I go back, I will order dessert first.
That's right. That's
because
right.
we had so much.
That's right.
Well, this is your restaurant, Sevana. Wrap it up for us.
So if you're on the west side of the city and you'd like to take a little trip to Greece and possibly say, oppa, after eating, try Orexi. It's a great place for a family or for date night or for any time.
And everybody say, oppa! All right, Randy, what do you think?
Orexi is a solid find, serving classic Greek fares and dishes and a warm and inviting atmosphere.
And Robin?
I would say it's a beautiful spot with a lively atmosphere, loving hospitality, and they have a really nice wide range selection of classic Greek dishes.
All right, if you would like to try Orexi, it's located on West Portal at 14th Avenue in San Francisco. The telephone number is 415-664-6739. It's open for dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Reservations are accepted for parties of 4 or more, and the average dinner tab per person without drinks is around $30. So I want to thank my great guests on this week's show, Robin Carpenter, who returns to the Creole flavors of her childhood at the Hummingbird in Fairfax, Randy Fung, who escapes work to lunch at traditional Japanese fare at Sumika in Los Altos, and Sevana Panosian, who, along with her children, tuck into the Greek flavors at Orexi Restaurant in San Francisco. We really want to know about your experiences at any of the restaurants we've been talking about. So keep in touch with us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And don't forget that you can watch any of the shows at our website at kqed.org/checkplease. It's where you'll find links to the restaurants and where you'll find my notes on the wines we're drinking today. So join us next time when 3 new guests will recommend their favorite spots right here on Check Please Bay Area. I'm Leslie Sbrocco, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to you guys. Woo!
Check Please Bay Area is made possible by the members of KQED and by IRG has over 250 natural stone choices and over 10,000 stone slabs in stock today. IRG in Brisbane and Dublin or at marblecompany.com. Oakland International Airport. Now with flights all over the world. iFlyOAK.com. Natural mattress systems from European Sleepworks, working to improve comfort and wellness for over 40 years. European Sleepworks in Berkeley, online at sleepworks.com.
Sutter Health CPMC, 7,000 employees, nurses, and physicians caring for their communities every day. Your city, your hospital. CPMC2020.org. Walmart Global E-commerce, with small, agile work teams, is focused on big data, open source engineering, and e-commerce innovations. Careers at walmartlabs.com. Safe Catch Elite Wild Tuna, great for athletes, kids, and pregnancy. Safe Catch tests each and every fish for mercury. Online at safecatch.com.